Alrighty, so the final game of this match week is in the books, and I am still left speechless in terms of what I just saw in terms of Sunday night soccer, and I'll definitely talk more about that tomorrow because that's going to be part two of the review. But instead, today we're going to talk about part one. We're going to look at all of the 7:30 p.m. Eastern start. There was six of them, that is. And if you wonder where are the matinee games and also the Friday game that happened earlier this week, well, those review is already up. I already did it yesterday before the busy action. And speaking of which, now let's talk about the Saturday night action. Talk about the meat of the action, which is the 7:30 start. And we'll start off by first talking about Nashville versus Atlanta United. So this, like the Sporting KC versus Vancouver game, are a match that it's kind of predictable of what we saw in this one. And despite the fact that there were going to be some that question whether or not Nashville can follow that up after possibly having the best victory in franchise history, and whether they can maybe suffer a little letdown and overlook Atlanta in this one. Yeah, BJ Cowan side didn't overlook Atlanta in this one, and also partially the fact that Atlanta is a definition of bad. Right now. Now in the first half, not much really happened early in this one. The first shot of the game did see Hoyos deny Nahar, but he did somehow get his own rebound, but missed high. But in the 21st minute, on the other end, Schwalke would deny Sanchez, as that was Atlanta first shot. Shots were 3-1 early in this one, and it would stay that way. It was not really a start that there was a lot of action, at least in the first half. Lovitz would then hits it right to Hoyos before he had to deny Mukhtar from close in the 41st minute. Nashville was definitely pushing late to try to get the opener in the first half. Hoyos then denied Mukhtar on the free kick, but we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, Galarza hits it right to Schwalke before Palacios missed wide from close range. On the other end, Fortune would hits one right to Schwalke before Mukhtar would miss high from close range in the 58th minute. Both of these teams were definitely exchanging some chances early on, but the question is, who can get that opener? It's going to be Nashville, as in the 61st minute, Espinoza would score from Mukhtar and Palacio to give Nashville a 1-0 lead, and it also comes off a bad turnover from Atlanta that started that sequence. Yeah, you can't do that against Nashville. How many times I've said when you commit a bad turnover and you cough the ball in a bad spot in your own end, and when you're facing against a team like Nashville, how hot they've been, yeah, you're gonna get paid every single time. So just like that, it was 1-0 in favor of Nashville. Miro then looked for another, but he puts it right to Hoyos before Cochran with flash one just wide. As Nashville, they were not done. They were killing or they were pressing for that killer second goal. For those that wonder, maybe fatigue might start to sail in for this team. Consider they did play in Mexico, played in the Azteca, and in a very emotional kind of game. It definitely didn't seem like that. I mean, they were still looking like they were going at Atlanta in this one, and yeah, for Atlanta, well, it's one of those days, isn't it? For this city, I've had a lot of these in these last couple of years. Marunchuk would then hits it right to Schwalke. Yazbek would then miss wide from long range, but then in the first minute of stoppage time, Shaq Muhammad would score his first career MLS goal to turn out the lights at Mercedes Benz in this one, as he scored from Mukhtar and Espinoza to make it 1-0, or not 1-0, I'm sorry, 2-0 in favor of Nashville. SC that is, and I gotta say for Hani Mukhtar, that was very unselfish of him. He could have easily scored or that one, and for a guy that is hungry in front of goal, I was expecting him to bury that one, but for once he showed some unselfishness. He wanted to give the youngster his moment, and what a moment it is for Shaq Muhammad scoring his first career MLS goal here, and just like that, it's 2-0 in favor of Nashville. Galarza then puts it high from long range, and yeah, in the end, if you thought that Nashville was going to have a bit of a letdown in this one, think again, because this was a pretty convincing 2-0 win that they had against Atlanta. Shots in this one, 16 shots for the 12 that Atlanta has, but Nashville doubled the shots on goal. 8 shots on goal for the 4 that Atlanta has, 6 shots off target for the 3 that Atlanta had, 6 shots off blocked for the 2 that Nashville has, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to the 45% possession that Nashville has. And while Nashville continued to look like the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. You cannot say that about Atlanta United. It's maybe about 8 or 9 years ago that might be the case that Atlanta was the team to beat, but now this looked like a team that what we saw with Toronto FC a couple of years ago, where this looked like a team that clearly need to blow it up when it comes to the roster. Whatever they're doing in terms of this roster, it's not working. And as much as I say it, it's easy to just kind of blow it up and do a deep rebuild. It's not easier said to be done because of all the bad contract that they are locked in, and this is why I make the comparison to Toronto FC, where took a while for TFC to kind of get out of that mud, and in some ways they kind of still aren't. With all the bad contract that's been handed out, it feels like the dark days is just gonna continue for this team. I want to say that there's some positive, but there really isn't because right now these last couple of years with all the spending that they have and all the moves that they have that has just completely blown up in their face. Yeah, they have really put themselves in a tough spot right now. And for Tata Martino, I mean, it's easy to blame Tata Martino for this, but I think we all know who is really to blame for this team. It's got to be the front office, and especially the guy that is no longer the front office and the GM for Atlanta that has really kind of set this team back with the way how things have gone for this team. Now, moving on, in terms of the next match, is New England and Columbus. So, yeah, this was a game where, again, for New England, I know some people will say that this team even have been taking advantage of playing against some easy opponent, especially at home. But at the end of the day, that's what they need to do. I mean, as I said, this is a team that the goal for this team, especially under Marko Mitrovic, is just to get themselves back into playoff contention. This was a team that really ever since Bruce Arena left this team, it just have not looked like the same dominant force that we saw Bruce Arena took this team. And it's kind of funny the fact that while Bruce Arena left this team, he's now dominating with another team that he's coaching right now. That is, but again, a way to trying to get yourself back to staying relevant. It's like to be able to beat the team that you could beat. And right now, you got to give credit to New England. They have done a really good job in terms of beating the team that they should be, albeit it definitely took a while for them to have to get all 3 points. They have to come from behind in this one as well. The first shot of the game did see Turgelman puts one over in the 13th minute before Picard missed wide from close range. Not much happened in the first 15 minutes as the shots were only one apiece. Morera would then hits it right to Turner before Picard hits it right to Turner in the 23rd minute. Columbus definitely with some sustained pressure trying to get the opening goal. Langoni would hit it right to Schulte in the 25th minute, but then on the other end, Max Arston would open the scoreline for Columbus as he scored from Rossi and Gastak to give Columbus a 1-0 lead. So a rare moment to see Daniel Gastak being on the assist chart. I mean, I haven't mentioned his name a lot. I mean, it's safe to say that it's been a bus and a half ever since he's been putting the black and goal for Columbus crew. Rossi then looked for another, but he hits it right to Turner. But we do head to halftime with Columbus leading 1-0 in this one and was looking pretty good in this one. I mean, you wonder with the loss of Wasan Abu Ali, the fact that, unless if they make some big changes in the summer transfer window, it just feels like this is kind of a lost season for Columbus already. But they look good, at least in the first half. In the second half, Chambos would miss high or miss wide from long range in the 52nd minute, but then the 54th minute, New England responds as Doran Turgelman would score from Ngoni to tie the game up at one apiece for New England. Sands then looked for another, but he hits this one wide, and this is when the momentum really changes. Again, New England didn't really play that well, at least in the first half, but as soon as they got the goal, you can clearly see the momentum has changed. This feels like another one of those classic games where goals change games. I mean, I know it sounds like a cliche, but it definitely changed how this game turned because New England started to grab the momentum and look to get the lead. Miller would then miss one from the header. We then go for a period where not much really happened, but then a penalty was given to the refs in the 85th minute as Turgelman was brought down by Camacho there in the box. So here comes Carlos Hill, a chance to bear it from the spot. He usually doesn't miss from the spot, and he doesn't here. Clinical finishing from the spot there from Carlos Hill, and just like that, New England has the lead late in this one. TRA did look to answer, but his shot was deflected wide. Columbus definitely pushing late to try to get at least a point out of this. New England definitely holding on for dear life to get a massive 3 points at home, and they did exactly that. Huge win for New England here. Again, this is a team that they're slowly chipping them way up in the standings. And again, I know it hasn't been a team that you would say that have had some impressive win in their resume, and some might say that this might be a little bit of fool's gold for New England in terms of how high up in the standings. But as the old saying goes, you can only play who is in front of you. And in the case of the New England Revolution, they've been gifted with the way that they've been playing some easy opponent and taking advantage of 3 points at home. I mean, they're following the classic formula, getting 3 points at home and then getting points on the road. That's always a formula to get yourself into the playoffs, and they definitely look like it right now following that formula. But for Columbus, like I said, it just feels like this is a lost season for this Crew team. Obviously, Unless if they make some big changes in the summer transfer window in terms of maybe finding the replacement for what Sam Abu Ali, this team just doesn't look like it. I mean, it just feels like it's going to be a long season for Columbus, and now they might even make a difficult decision of do you think Rustrom deserve another chance, mainly because of the fact that you could kind of make the argument he's been hamstringed because of missing some key guys, but at the same time, it's been a very disappointing season so far for Columbus, a team that has playoff aspiration has just completely vanished to the start that they have so far. Now, moving on in terms of next match. So, while Columbus, of course, is struggling, another Ohio team that I mentioned is also struggling right now. It's hard to believe how for the last couple of years, these Ohio teams, Cincinnati and Columbus, has been the class of the East, and now it just feels like it's the complete opposite this season. But one thing I will say about Cincinnati, as much as this has been a really tough season for Pat Nolan, by far the worst season under Pat Nolan so far that Cincinnati has had. One thing I will at least give Cincinnati credit is the fact that they still show some fight. There has been games that even through this tough period where they have shown a lot of fight and show a lot of determination, and this was an example of it because at 3-1 in this one for the Chicago Fire, it looks like this was going to be an easy win for the Fire, but Cincinnati have shown that they can show some fight at time, especially at home. That Montreal resort is an example of it. Now in the first half, Haile Selassie would hit it right to Salatano as that was the game for a shot. There was a shout for a penalty for Cincy not given. Salatano then denied Kuipers from close range. The Fire was definitely the better team early on in this one, and that's not a big surprise. The Fire has been playing relatively well to begin the season under Greg Berhalter, and they look to continue that by pressing to try to get the opener. Celentano then denied Zikanago, but it falls to Salacho, and he puts this one high. Brady then denied Evander from close, as that was Cincinnati first shot, and then he blasts one wide from close in the 17th minute. It looks like Cincinnati has woke up after a bit of a slow start to this game. Now they look to try to get the opener. Brady then tipped Evander shot over in the 24th minute, but then in the 26th minute, Chicago finally takes the lead. It's Hugo Kuipers. He scored from Zikanago to give Chicago a 1-0 lead. Wouldn't be surprised we might see more of that combination because that Kuiper and Zikanago combination is just so deadly for the Chicago Fire side. But at the same time, that is definitely one that probably shouldn't have gone in if Saltano would have saved that. He did get a hand to it. I do think that he should have done much better, especially the caliber of a goalkeeper that he is. And yeah, just like that. The Fire takes a 1-0 lead. The Fire obviously wouldn't care the fact that their opposition goalkeeper were not at their best. Haile Selassie then looked for another, but he hits the post there. The momentum once again was with the Fire. Now they started to try to press to get another. Robinson would hits it right to Brady in the 35th before Evander the last one to Kentucky in the 36th. Davila then puts it high from long range in the 39th minute. But then in the 42nd minute, Tom Barlow would tie the game up for Cincinnati. So he haunts his old team here, and he did celebrate against his old team. I have a feeling the reason why he celebrate is that I know Barlow, he did spend a year or two with the Fire, but he wasn't really a major contribution for the Fire. There's a reason why he doesn't celebrate when he played the Red Bulls because that's the team that kind of bought him up, and I think deep down if you talk to Tom Barlow, he still loved the New York Red Bulls more than the Chicago Fire. So yeah, he did celebrate here to tie the game up at one apiece. And talk about goalkeeping mistake. I mean, Chris Brady, this was not a great moment for him. So all this talk of me just kind of hyping up Chris Brady, especially of how good he's been in the last couple of years, and me even saying that he should maybe even be in the World Cup conversation for the men's national team. Whoops, I think I might have jinxed him because he was not good in this game. He gave up a very bad rebound there on Ramirez shot, and he was punished because of it. Echenike then looked for the lead, but he was denied by Brady. All of a sudden, momentum was with Cincinnati. Again, overall, this was a really bonkers game. There was a lot of chances in this one. Defense at times was kind of optional in this game, but that just kind of feels like how every Cincinnati game is. Defense seems to just be not a thing with the way that their defense has just kind of completely gone pear-shaped, while the attack has definitely continued to be decent. The post would then deny Haile Selassie from close, but then a penalty was given to the Fire as Giddy brought down Kuipers in the box. So here comes Zikanago, a chance to bury this one to give the Fire the lead back, and he does. So he buries it from the PK spot, and we head to halftime with the Chicago Fire leading 2-1, and that's got to be a gut punch for Cincinnati because they thought that they had momentum late in the first half, but now they find themselves down again, and that would, as I said, 2-1 would be the scoreline heading into the second half. In the second half, the post would deny Mbama Dem from close range, and that was a huge miss because just 1 minute later on the other end, Hugo Kuipers would score here to make it 3-1 in favor of the Fire, and yeah, it was an absolute banger there from Hugo Kuipers. Definitely a goal of the week contention, but at the same time, Cincinnati just didn't clear their lines. When you just only clear it halfway like that, yeah, that's not good enough in terms of trying to clear the dangers, and you will tip the hat off to Kuiper in terms of making that finishing, but that's just kind of sums up the defense for Cincinnati this season. Last season, we would not see these kind of goals give up by the Cincinnati defense when they're especially when they are at full strength. And I will say that they're technically not at full strength. They are dealing with some injuries once again in the back line. Feels like that's the story of Cincinnati season the last couple of years, where that back line is as doable as glass right now. But in the 51st minute, Echenike did look to answer, but he hits it right to Brady. Ramirez would then hits the signing in the 61st minute. Cincinnati pushed to try to get one back. Like I said, this is a team. They're not going to quit. As bad as things have gone for this team, Pat Nolan is kind of a head coach that he's not going to tolerate this no quit or quitting mentality. He always have that no quit mentality into this team, and you got to give credit to Cincinnati. They were still pushing to trying to get one back. The shots went 18-15 for Chicago 62 minutes in. Yeah, there was a lot of shot up to this point. Defense at times were not a thing, as I mentioned. There was a huge shout for a penalty for Cincinnati not given, but then 9 minutes later they would get a penalty as Bakazi brought down Valenzuela there in the box. This was probably the worst game that Bakazi has had. And again, this is another guy like hyped up in the last game. I want to apologize to the Chicago Fire and their fan base of hyping up some of their play, because it feels like both of those players that I hyped up in the last game turned to pumpkin in this one. So here comes Evander, a chance to bury this one, and you knew he had to take that penalty. He needed this badly, and to my biggest surprise, he decided to go with Panenka. I mean, the audacity to try to do that, especially with him being on a goal drought, that just kind of shows you the character that Evander has. Even for a goal drought like this, it's been a really tough last couple of months, especially coming back from injury. He has the audacity to try that, and you can clearly see the confidence was back as soon as Evander buried that penalty. You can clearly see that his confidence was immediately back. He looked like the MVP Evander that Cincinnati was hoping for. And because of that, Cincinnati would tie the game up in the 86th minute as Davila unfortunately would score own goal there. It was a dangerous ball coming into the box. I believe it was from Evander, and yeah, unfortunately Davila just weren't able to poke that one behind, put it into his own net. Won't be the first time we see that happen. That has happened a lot this season, and it happened in some of the games, including that Sunday night soccer game that we'll talk about tomorrow as well. Hadebi then looked for the lead, but he hits this one wide. We then had some pushing and shoving between both of these teams. Things were getting a little bit spicy late. Jabari would then had a shot that was deflected high. Haglin would then hits it high in the second minute of stoppage time, and then Valenzuela would hit it right to Brady beside being wide open in the box. Yeah, that is one that Dado Valenzuela would want to have back. I mean, that is a huge missed opportunity, and for Cincinnati, yes, on one hand they did show a lot of fight in this one, but you can in a sense they probably would be a little disappointed the fact that they didn't get all 3 points. They had chances to come all the way back and do something similar to what they did against Montreal and somehow pull a massive 3 points in this one. Shots in this one, 23 shots for the 18 that Chicago had, 6 shots on goal for the 10 that Cincinnati has, 8 shots off target for the 2 that the Fire has, 8 shots on block compared to 5 that Cincinnati has, and possession wise, 55% possession compared to the 45% possession that Chicago has in this game. But yeah, for the Chicago Fire, it feels like they revert back to old Fire ways. We see this happen before with the Fire, as good as Greg Berhalter has done with this team and the job that he has in. We have seen before where the Chicago Fire go back to old habits, and this looked like old habits Chicago Fire of a team that tends to hit the self destruction button even when they're playing well on the road, and it happened again in this one. And I think they're probably a little fortunate that they didn't drop all 3 points, because Cincinnati was really going at them. Had this game gone another 10 minutes, I think Chicago would have found a way to drop all 3 points in this game. For that being said, I am now going to switch forward and look at the last free game to finish up the review of the Saturday day games that we see this busy Saturday, the 7:30 start that we'll see as part of part one of this review. All right, so now let's talk about NYCFC versus Charlotte FC, and this feels like a classic example of what happened when you don't take advantage of your chances and you are the better team, and the other team take advantage of their chances and you end up losing the game and not getting anything out of this one. Now in the first half, Triven with the first chance of the game, but he had missed wide from long range. NYCFC definitely was on the front foot as they try to press for the lead. Kalina would deny Wolf from long range before O'Neal puts it high from long range in the 21st minute. He then denied Ojeda from close in the 24th minute. The shots were 4-1 for NYCFC up to this point as they continue to try to push to get the opener. Kalina denied Wolf from close in the 32nd minute, and then the post would deny Ojeda on the header. You kind of had a sense that at that point you started thinking, is this going to be one of those nights already for NYCFC? It feels like they're getting blue ball and they're running into Kalina, who definitely was at the top of this game. He was trying to steal one for Charlotte in this one, and as I said, NYCFC they are right there. Like they are very close of finally getting that opener. Question is, can they finally do so? Gustavo would then head it high from close in the 37th minute, but we do head to halftime despite all the pressure that NYCFC put. It was scoreless heading into the second half, so you just kind of had a sense, yeah, we know what's going to happen. Charlotte's probably going to score in the second half completely against the run of play, and you would be right because Tokomani would score from Tuffalo and Zaha on what only was the second shot of the game for Charlotte FC in this one. Really, the first one that wasn't actually blocked from early in this one, and just like that, 1-0 in favor of Charlotte, despite the fact that NYCFC pretty much dominated this one. Morales then looked to answer, but he was denied by Kalina. Gustavo then heads it wide from close in the 69th minute. NYCFC was pressing again, this time trying to get the equalizer. Gray would then hits it right to Kalina before Goodwin with a rare chance for Charlotte, but he hits it right to freeze. Wolf would then puts it high from long range in the 79th minute. Charlotte was clearly in row heat mode. Like it just feels like they are hanging on for dear life up to this point, and they can definitely thank that Kalina was back to his goalkeeper of the year self because yeah, they were just getting absolutely peppered by this NYCFC side. Magno would then hits it wide from close in the 83rd minute before Fernandez Markel hits it right to Kalina in the 89th minute. You kind of start to see the frustration for this NYCF side. You just kind of feel like this is just one of those days where they just could not finish, and one of those days where their opposition was more clinical in front of goal, and that's exactly what happened in the 90th minute as well. As the second time in the second half, Charlotte was scored completely against the run of play. It's Kervin Vargas. He scored from Bio and Zaha to give Charlotte a 2-0 lead, just completely against the run of plays that turned the lights out at City Field. Or did they? Because in the third minute of stoppage time, Fernandez Markel finally gets a goal for NYCFC. This has kind of been a long overdue, and this is why soccer is kind of a funny game. Of all the big missed chance that NYCFC had it in this game, they would score one of the hardest one to do because this was just a banger there from NYCFC, and now you're just thinking maybe it's not over yet because there's still a couple of minutes left. Goodwin did look to answer for Charlotte, but Freeze denied him there. But Zaha had another opportunity, and his shot was clear off the line. That was probably the most dangerous opportunity that Charlotte has had that did not go into the back of the net. Seymour Reed then missed wide from close in the fifth minute of stoppage time, but in the end, just a classic example of a smash and grab for Charlotte FC. Somehow, in some way, despite getting outshot 23-8 in this one, they get the win 2-1 in this one. And as I said, 23 shots for the 8 that Charlotte has, 5 shots on goal for the 8 that NYCFC had, 1 shot off target for the 7 that NYCFC had, 3 shots that was blocked for the 7 that NYCFC had, and possession wise, 59% possession compared to the 41% possession that Charlotte has in this game. And like I said, NYCFC, they did everything right in this one. They actually played a very good game. Problem is that the finishing wasn't there, and this is where once again we're unfortunately have to talk about the problem that resurfaced with this team in the beginning of the season, which is they just don't have that clinical number 9. Imagine if Alonso Martinez was on this team right now. I mean, if Alonso Martinez was on this team, he probably would have scored a hat trick easily in this one. But because of the fact that he's been out with that ACL injury and the fact that they really still have not been able to replace him, are kind of almost nursing their way to the summer window, which kind of makes a lot of NYCFC fans very frustrated. This is kind of the thing that they're gonna have to live with, and for Charlotte. I know that this might sound wrong, and I know I'm gonna piss off some Charlotte fans by this. I mean, I do wear their jersey for this review, so maybe they'll be happy of me by saying this, the fact that I still are not convinced with Charlotte. I really can't. I know this was a big win, and some might say this might prove that they're not frauds. But when you look at how this game went out and how they got outshot in this one, and the fact that if it wasn't for Kalina going MVP mode, it could have been hugely different game. It just you can't keep doing this against good team. This is definitely unsustainable, and that yeah, I'm just still not convinced. I do still think that this is a pretender kind of team, and there's been performance that's kind of shown that they are a pretender team. They don't look like a team that is as good as what their record is saying, and where they are in the standing right now. And even though I know Charlotte fans will immediately type in the comment section and say that I'm hating on this team this season. Now, moving on in terms of the next match is the Union and DC United. So, in previous year, this would be an absolute laughter for the Philadelphia Union, and in some way, they kind of did the same thing. They had their opportunity in this game against DC United. DC was pretty much a non-factor in this game for the most of it, but unfortunately, this is the Philadelphia Union in 2026. What has been the one big problem for the Philadelphia Union in 2026? They don't have a goal scorer. So it's not a big surprise the fact that this game ended 0-0, despite the fact that the Union, just like NYCFC, had a lot of chances, but just not able to put one in. Though in the first half, not much really happened early in this one. Bart led with the first shot of the game, but he hits it over. I said that was Philly's first shot. I meant that's actually DC's first shot. Hopkins would then puts it high from long range before Johnson denied Iloski, as that was the first shot for the Union 25 minutes in. In fact, the shots were only 3-1 30 minutes in. There was not a lot of chances in that first half. It would pick up as we head into the second half with the scoreline 0-0. Bueno would puts it wide and high before Iloski would have a shot that was deflected. Philly was definitely on the front foot trying to press for the opener. Hariel tried to do so, but he puts it onto the roof of the net. We then go for a period where not much really happened. Diamani would hits it high from close in the 70th minute before Johnson denied Iloski from long range in the 75th minute. Again, the Union, they would continue to push to try to get the opener, but the thing is this one of those games again, just like what we've seen throughout the season where the finishing let them down. The shots were 15-5 for the Union up to this point. Lukic would then had a shot that was put wide in the 82nd minute. And yeah, in the end, the Philadelphia Union, they cannot find that finishing ability. It's a 0-0 draw in this one. This is the only 0-0 draw that we saw this week. I mean, it feels like every week we have to have at least one 0-0 draw. So this, of course, was the one. Shots in this one, 17 shots for the 6 that DC had. No shots on goal for the 4 that the Union has. 5 shots off target for the 4 that DC had. 6 shots on block for the 1 that DC had. And possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that DC has in this game. And like I said, in previous year, even if this was last year, I guarantee you, if they had the same player as they did in this game against this DC side, they probably would have scored 3, 4, or even 5 goals against DC in this one because they don't have those kind of players anymore. Especially they sold one of those players to DC United as well. This is kind of the resort that we're seeing. Though that being said, I don't think this is a resort that DC wanted either. I mean, they get a point against a team that seems like is been the fodder of them at least in the last couple of years. But again, it's another game without a goal, and the good start that DC has really kind of turned south relatively quickly when you look at the winless run that they've been on. Now, moving on in terms of the next match, speaking of winless runs, that's where Orlando has been in. I mean, it's been a rough season for Orlando City. I mean, the only good thing you can say about Orlando, at least in the last 2 games, that maybe is a little bit of a silver lining, they're at least not giving up like 2, 3, 4, or 5 goals per game. It was kind of insane how many goals they were giving up, and they were on track of giving up like something like 130 plus goal in a season. The last 2 games, it has gone a little bit better, but is that due to the fact that one, they were playing against some easy opponent, and two, is the fact that now they can't finish because of the way that, and I said this before, that maybe could be a problem for Orlando City of them maybe being a little bit more the defensive as a resort. Now they sacrifice a lot on the attack, but it just kind of feels like it's the way to go if you don't want to concede 5 or 6 goals, and we kind of saw it a little bit in this one. Though this was also another one of those games where there was a lot of chances for both of these teams, and neither of these teams were very good in front of goal. I mean, this at after all, it feels like a desperation derby. This was against two very bad teams right now that has been limping their way the last couple of weeks, and it definitely showed like that. And if it wasn't for the Dynamo getting that clinical finishing in the 76th minute, I thought we were gonna go with another 0-0 draw between these 2 games. In the first half, Guilherme puts it wide from long range. Spicer would then puts it wide from close. It was a bit of an even start, I thought, to the beginning of this game. Both of these teams with some half chances, though that quick start quickly turned into a bit of a lull period where not much really happened after that. Guilherme then puts it high from long range before Crepo denying Andrade from close in the 40th minute. Houston definitely pushing late to try to get the opener. Andrade then hits it wide from close in the 41st minute, and in the post would deny Thiago in the back post. And even though that one hits the post, that is one that Thiago would want to have back. Absolutely should have been the one that should put in the back net. But judging by how Orlando City has been playing, I mean, I'm not surprised the one that one didn't go into the back net. But we do head to halftime with the scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, Angulo would miss wide from close before Bogusz would put it way high from long range. We then go for a period where not much really happened, and then there was a chaotic sequence in the 60th minute where an Orlando shot was clear off the line twice in that one. Ojeda then had a third opportunity, but he hits it right to Maurer. Ponce would then miss wide from close in the 68th minute, but then the 76th minute, really just another chaotic sequence. Pereira was able to bury it to give the Dynamo a 1-0 lead on the road. Ojeda would then look for an answer, but he blast that one all the way to Cape Canaveral. Ellis would then hits it right to Maurer in the 81st minute. Orlando was definitely pushing to try to get that equalizer, whereas Houston trying to hold on for a big win in this desperation derby, and that's exactly what they did. As in the end, Orlando just couldn't quite generate enough pressure to get that equalizer. 1-0 win in the end for the Houston Dynamo. Shots in this one, a lot of shots. 19 shots for the 17 that Orlando has. 3 shots on goal for the 6 that Houston had. 6 shots off target for the 5 that Orlando City has. Both teams that had 7 shots was blocked and possession wise, 57% possession compared to the 43% possession that the Houston Dynamo has. And it will definitely be a due to be determined to see whether or not at this resort maybe will kickstart things for the Houston Dynamo. I mean, as much as they did stop the bleeding a little bit on their own in terms of the winless run, at the end of the day, you played against an Orlando City side that have no confidence whatsoever, and they barely beat them in this one as well. But hey, as the old saying goes, beggars can't be choosers. And right now, Houston is kind of in that mode where they need to get a win. And especially Ben Olsen maybe kind of playing for his job a bit. I mean, there's been a lot of rumbling that he might be on the chopping block as well. And this win might have at least buy him some more time. We'll see whether or not if it's enough for him to keep his job by the end of this season. But for Orlando City, I mean, again, if you want to be super positive with Orlando City, and I know there's not really a lot to be positive about this team this season, is the fact that at least you're not conceding 5 or 6 goals again, and at least you are giving some effort. And again, the effort was definitely there for this Orlando City side. They had their moments in this one, but like I said, when you're a bad team like they are, you're not gonna get those luck in front of them. But on the bright side, at least they're not conceding 5 plus goals. I think their goal tally. I think they only conceded 2 in the last 2 games, which that feels like an impressive improvement considering they conceded like 20 plus in the first 6 games as well. And I don't think they're I don't know if they're still on the path of conceding 100 plus goal this season, but at least in these last 2 games, it kind of shows that maybe they won't actually break the record for the most goal conceded in a single season by an MLS team. Obviously, that could still change because they've been playing 2 very bad teams. They play against some good teams again. They might get absolutely slaughtered again, especially with some injuries at the back line. But hey, at least they're not giving a lot of goals. That's the only positive you can say about Orlando City because other than that, yeah, this is gonna be a long season for the Lions. I mean, both Atlanta and Orlando. Remember how that used to be considered to be a big rivalry in the Southeast? I can't wait to see when both of those teams play against each other and how much things have completely fallen off when those 2 teams used to be 2 teams that really hate each other and seems like a big battle in the Southeast area. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of all of these games. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these games. Tomorrow we'll look at the late games, including the West Coast game, and then of course we'll do the review of the Sunday night soccer game. I might actually just decide to put the Sunday night soccer game on a separate board because I wrote a lot of notes for that Sunday night soccer game that is. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.